Serving up a warm dish of the Triad's culinary fare, here's your weekly helping of food, news, and views. This is The Man Who Ate the Town.
Hey folks, and welcome to episode 232 of the Man Who Ate the Town podcast. This episode is for the week of September 20th. My name is Tim Beeman, and I am opening the recipe trunk. We are recording this episode of The Man Who Ate the Town in the Omniverous Studios at Liberty Plaza. Visit omniverous.com to find solutions to all of your general contracting needs. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcatchers like Apple and Spotify, others like that, I'd appreciate a like, a follow, and a rating. It would help me tremendously. I am recording this episode 6 months exactly from the last time that I recorded one. Getting over a little bit of a cold, so you'll hear me sniffling and get it all stopped up like this. But this episode is brought to you by Mojito Latin Soul Food, your go-to Cuban and Latin-inspired restaurant. You need to go by and just have what I consider the greatest sandwich in town. That is the Cubano. If that's not your thing, try anything else on the menu. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. They do reservations, takeouts, and have a really large outdoor patio, and they do deliveries to the surrounding businesses. So check them out on Facebook and MojitoLatinSoulFood.com. Hey, this is this week from the 18th, that was Monday, all the way through Sunday, September 24th. It's Negroni Week, and that's a national thing. There are rumors of more, but the one restaurant that I know doing it here in Winston is the Catherine Bar and Brasserie inside the Kempton Cardinal Hotel. What does that mean? Well, one of the oldest cocktails out there, the Negroni, is generally made with Campari, vermouth, and gin. Campari is an Italian liqueur that is made from Chinotto oranges and the bark of the cascarilla plant. There is a vermouth that is considered, I guess, official in this. I'm not sure what that is. But for the Catherine, they are using a vermouth made from Jolo Winery here in Pilot Mountain. They are also using Aviation Gin. They're out of Portland, Oregon. All three of those ingredients are aged together at the Catherine in new oak barrels for a minimum of 6 weeks. This is usually done with bourbon, and you don't see it often with gin, but a large portion of every $18 barrel-aged Negroni sold this week, a large portion of it will go to supporting Negroni Week's official charity partner, Slow Food, which fosters a more equitable and sustainable world of food and beverage. Justin Rankin, the Catherine's lead barman, informed me that Jolo Winery will be matching whatever donation the Catherine makes to Slow Food. That is awesome. The Rays do great charity work. Also, from Justin, he says, being a largely bourbon bar, we decided to pull that strong influence and barrel-age the cocktail, which is something typically seen with bourbon that you don't see with gin. We age all the ingredients together in new oak barrels for at least 6 weeks, which adds that extra note of oak flavor into the cocktail, giving it a richness you wouldn't normally achieve by simply combining these ingredients. Barrel aging also reduces the alcohol burn one can sometimes feel when drinking spirit-forward cocktails. Now, Justin made me one yesterday, and it was very well done. But I have to say, I've never been a big fan of Negronis. But if I was going to drink one, this one would be the one I had. Justin was right. That burn, because it was aged in those oak barrels, the burn is still there, but mostly diminished, allowing the flavors to come through. Again, the Negroni at the Catherine Bar and Brasserie is $18 this week, and much of that payment that you will make will go to helping the food and beverage industry. Again, that's Slow Food. So also remember that Jolo is matching their donation. So whatever Catherine makes, Jolo is matching that, so it goes to a good cause. Make your reservation today at the Catherine and tell them that I sent you. Please. All right, hold on. I got to get this soapbox. Hold on. I'm coming. All right, I'm coming. I don't know how much soapboxing I'm going to do, as much as just pontificating, I guess. We'll see. So Stephanie and I went to New York 2 weeks ago. We stayed in Manhattan's Upper West Side in the Hell's Kitchen neighborhood. It was my first trip there ever. Stephanie's second, but she was only like 11, so it really doesn't count. So our first trip there together, and we loved it. I absolutely loved it. My entire adult life living here in Winston-Salem, I hear and see, where can I get authentic New York pizza in Winston-Salem? Where can I get authentic New York bagels? Where can I find a deli like in New York? I have the answer for all these questions. You ready? Here it is. You can find all those things in New York. Winston-Salem has nothing like what you find in New York. But that does not mean that what is in New York is better than what you get here in Winston-Salem. First off, what constitutes quote-unquote better? Better to whom? Better to native New Yorkers? Better to Camel citizens? Look, where you grew up, where you were raised, where you were introduced to and lived eating these foods, that's what you're used to. That's what you want. I get it. A few years back, I went to Philadelphia, and I wanted to have an authentic Philly cheesesteak that I had heard blabbed on about all my life. And whether they are the best or not, I was taken to Pat's or Geno's. I don't remember which one. They're across the street from each other because they are famous for their cheesesteaks. That is, Monday Night Football, it's always showing both of them. So I had it. It was fine. It was nothing special. It was nothing spectacular. I'd had better cheesesteaks here. See what I did there? Better is relative to the dealer. I had had cheesesteaks and had in my mind what it was supposed to be. Pat's or Geno's didn't have any red cape or a big red S on it, and I wasn't wowed, or did I even think it was nearly as good as what I'd already had. The person I was with and I stopped at a convenience store on the way back to her mom's house. And this convenience store had a kitchen in the back, and I got a Philly from there, and it was awesome. Much better than the famous ones and comparable to what I had had here. I've had people say, oh, you should have had it from, and insert your own Philly favorite restaurant here. More on that in a few minutes. Excuse me, back to New York. I knew going in, I wanted to try 4 things, and I got to 3 of them. 1, I wanted an authentic New York bagel. 2, I wanted an authentic New York pizza. 3, I wanted a dirty water dog from a cart, preferably in Central Park. 4, I wanted the pastrami Reuben from Katz's Deli. I did not get the dirty water dog. Let me say this here. I am not a huge fan of Yelp, TripAdvisor, Google reviews, etc., and so on, because most of those are shit reviews. They don't know how to review, and much of it is friends, employees, owners, or shills pumping up a place. I get that reviews are important. I have to be mindful of how I absorb them. That's the thing. So that being said, I didn't do a deep dive into where I should go. The bellman at the Belvedere Hotel, and I highly recommend the Belvedere Hotel, suggested we go to John's for pizza, Pick a Bagel for the bagel, Junior's for cheesecake, and another couple of places for a few other things. I don't remember what those were. Fine, let's do that. First, we went straight to Pick a Bagel because we got up there early morning and it was time for breakfast. And I asked the people at Pick a Bagel, what should I have? Someone who had never had a New York bagel. We were doing this for the first time. What should I order? and they had me get an everything bagel with bacon, egg, and cheese. I have long avoided everything bagels or everything anything because it sounds like a bunch of crap that I don't want. The first bite, I realized why I never got one. It was a bunch of crap that I didn't want. I don't need oats, sesame seeds, dried onions, dried garlic, and so on a bagel. Also, the bacon was overcooked and the bagel itself was overgrilled. So I was not impressed. I don't even remember what Stephanie got because I was so annoyed at mine. 2 days later, we tried again at a different place. This is Grabstein's or Grabstein's Bagels in Greenwich Village. I got a plain bagel with scallion cream cheese. That was a great bagel. It was everything. See what I did there? I wanted in a bagel and more. New York bagel, check. For pizza, we went to John's of Times Square. It is in a converted church. We ordered a traditional pie with pepperoni. For whatever reason, they only put pepperoni on half the pizza, but it was delicious. Thin crust, light sauce, a shload of cheese, and the peps. That's what I thought New York pizza would be. New York pizza, check. Very, very good. Katz's Deli. The experience of going to the counter and ordering your sando is great, and you get to watch them make it. Well, if you're tall like me, you get to watch them make it. Stephanie couldn't really see. She's not even 5 foot tall. They microwave the Swiss, but they carve the pastrami and stack it in front of you, pile on the kraut, drag the bread across the Thousand Island dressing or whatever they call it. They call it the Reuben dressing, and then put the melted Swiss on top. It was a mountain of a sandwich. Stephanie and I both got one, but we could have totally shared it. From what someone said, I don't think they like you sharing. I guess they want you to spend that $28 each. They also had hand-cut pickles, some full sour, or what I would have just said dill pickles, and half sour, which to me tasted like just brined cucumbers. I loved the full sours, didn't care one way or another about the half sour. It was expensive as hell, but it was very good, and it was the experience. We had experienced it. We did it. We got through it. Katz's Deli, pastrami Reuben, check. Like I said, I didn't get to the dirty water dog, so you're not thinking that sounds gross if you don't know what it is. A dirty water dog is a hot dog boiled in seasoned water. The dogs sit in that water, and the salt and the fat from them shed into the water, and the water isn't changed, so it adds to the seasonings that were already in the water. It's most associated with the push carts in New York and New Jersey. I wanted one, didn't get one due to logistics, and I'll mention more about that in a few. These are my thoughts on these things. The bagel. As much as I enjoyed Grabstein's, it reminded me of Bagel Station here off of Oakwood Drive. I think they may get their stuff from New York, so that may be a real New York bagel just done here. I don't know that it has anything to do with the water. People always say that. I think that's bullshit. I don't think that's right. But anyway, I think it tastes just as good at Bagel Station. I would just as soon get it from there, truthfully. It's just as good, less expensive, and I don't have to travel for it. The pizza, John's of Times Square, was great. It really was. But I can get just as good or quote unquote better from Brothers Pizza here on 4th Street or my new favorite pizza place, Pizza Greco. Now, Mission is still my place for Neapolitan style pizza. But for New York pizza here, I would say Pizza Greco is my place to go. It's my preference. Katz's Deli, okay. I'm not going to get that pastrami mountain sandwich here. Just not going to happen. Not that way. O'Brien's over off of Country Club Road. Ask for extra pastrami. Load that bastard up. Do it. You won't get those pickles, but the sandwich will be at least comparable, and O'Brien's does a great job. So I had posted about the pizza and the bagel, and people started commenting, oh, you should have gone to blah, blah, blah. Well, let me tell you, we're not playing that game. No one said, where can I find a bagel like Bagel X? Or where can I find a pizza like Pizza Y? They wanted a New York style bagel or pizza. I went to New York. I tried what I found. Either it's a New York pizza or it's not. Either it's a New York bagel or it's not. You can't nitpick the spot after the fact. Tell me what I should have if you're going to tell me I should have something. I got others saying, well, you should have asked me, or the dreaded, I'm a native New Yorker. So what? Because you're a New Yorker doesn't make you an expert. Here, Mission Pizza and Cugino Forno do similar styles of pizza. I think one does it better than the other, but both do a great job. However, one of my friends may like the other one more. Just because I'm from Winston doesn't make me an expert on which purveyor of pizza is better in Winston-Salem. It makes me an expert in what I prefer. Stop trying to persuade people that your preference is automatically better. And I know what you're thinking. Well, you do ranking lists like the burgers, and you're right. And every time I say, these are my opinions. Please try them out yourself and formulate your own opinion. Here's the bottom line. I mentioned it before, and I'll say it again. Where you grew up, what you're acclimated to, how your mom or grandma did it, that's the way it is. That is the best version of whatever it is for you. That's what you think is best. Therefore, it is the best. I think I can get stuff that I like just as much as I had up there down here. I don't have to go to one of the most expensive cities in the world for those things. If you're on Winston-Salem Eats or one of those other bulletin boards that's just the same shit over and over again, asking those questions or any regional or geographical food questions, stop it. You can't find it here if that's what you're looking for. Instead of looking for the holy grail of something you remember from your childhood, how about looking for the awesomeness that we already have here? Enjoy it for what it is. If you don't like it as much as you did in New York, or Chicago, or Miami, or Denver, or wherever, then schedule a trip. Go get what you want. Come back then and enjoy the same here of what you can at least get here. I have a great travel agent I'd introduce you to. He can help you with that. So again, it's where you come from. What your preference is your preference, and that's what you remember. That's the authentic. That's exactly what it is. Chicago pizza, same thing. You're not going to find that anywhere around here. You get knockoffs, but you're not going to find it here. You got to go to Chicago. You just are not going to get the same thing anywhere else but where you are. And what got me so fired up about it is that, oh, you didn't have the right one. No, I had a New York style pizza. I had a New York bagel. That's what I was told. So knock that crap off. All right, let me put my soapbox back. Hold on. All right, I'm coming back. All right, now to the rest of my New York trip, because some people have asked, and I've not got to post a whole lot of it. We had a lot of great food up there. The first night, we had French Caribbean from a brand new place on Restaurant Row. And for those who don't know, that's 46th Street between 8th and 9th Avenues, called S'aimer. It's S''AIMER. It's French for to love each other. We had the escargot, which was done in a very buttery and garlicky pesto sauce. They were tender and delicious. The pesto was potent, though, I have to say. I had the Caribbean-style duck breast with mushrooms, Brussels sprouts, and a lovely plum sauce. There was also a mango sauce, but I opted for... actually, I didn't opt for either one of them. I told them chef's choice, surprised me, and I got the plum sauce. It was seasoned just right, and the plum sauce was not overly sweet, just enough to wrap that duck up in a big old hug. Stephanie had the oxtails. They were slow cooked, so they fell right off the bone or cartilage. I don't even know what is that in oxtails. Is it bones, cartilage? I don't know. It was spicy, but not hot. The cumin really came through. That was the star spice, I'm sure. Cooked cabbage and wonderfully tender jasmine rice were the sides. On Wednesday, because we got up here on Tuesday, on Wednesday we went to see Wicked, the musical, at the Gershwin Theater. I had seen it 4 times prior, but I had never seen it in its home because I'd never been to New York. So that was a treat. But before that, we stopped at a place called Azalea, which is connected to the theater. Not connected to the theater as in like anything to do with the theater, it's just in the same building. And we thought we'd just go in and get an appetizer, see the show, and head somewhere else to eat afterward. Well, I guess that was a lot of people's idea, not just that night, but every night. So they implemented a rule that you had to order, if you were going to stay there, you had to order the equivalent of an entree each. And we had no problem with that because, I mean, they got to make a living too. And we were going to eat anyway, so it just got the dinner out of the way earlier. I had the chicken azalea, which was chicken stuffed with fontina cheese and prosciutto, served with mushrooms and an oven-dried tomatoes with a creamy brown sauce. I'll post pictures so you can see them later. That was delicious, but I was envious of Stephanie's dish, which was the linguine vongole, manila clam, sweet corn, and diced shrimp in a white wine sauce. I tasted it, and it was as good as it sounds. Those flavors were amazing. Wicked, fantastic, best show I'd ever seen. Chill bumps, I cried. Yeah, I cried. Not afraid to say it. So we'll go with that. Thursday, because we were going to see a band play in the Bowery Ballroom, which is in the Bowery area, right around the corner from the original CBGB's. It was just cool to be over there. But that was when we had the Katz's Deli. So Friday, for what we thought was our final meal in New York City, we went to an Argentinian steakhouse called Palermo. There was this amazing bread service with a red dipping sauce, and I know that it was roasted red pepper, garlic, olive oil, and onions. They'd put it in a food processor and just processed the crap out of it until it was a smooth, thick, delicious sauce. The light bread, it was thick, but it was very light, and it was fantastic. I had the New York strip because I was in New York, of course. It had a roasted red pepper, garlic, and chives on the top, and a little butter served with coarse sea salt, a chimichurri, and some kind of chow or salsa criollo, I think's how you say it. It was a perfect medium rare because I had told them chef's choice, do it how they think it should be done, and very well seasoned crust. I can still taste that. My side was roasted potato Provençal, which is basically big potato wedges with a spiced powder on top. Stephanie had the New York strip Milanese, which was pounded near flat and served medium, I guess, with mashed potatoes and green salad on top with a saffron aioli. She said it was good. I tried a little bit of the aioli and found it very interesting. So yeah, here we're going to come home Saturday, right? Get home, relax, get up the next day, watch the first day of football, relax some more. Well, the weather had other ideas. Our flight was canceled due to storms, and we were rescheduled for the same time the next day. So we went to a lovely French restaurant on the restaurant row called Le Rivage. We started with absinthe, brought in 2 glasses with the traditional filigreed spoons and a sugar cube, and a very large water drip. They just barely turned it on, and it just dripped into the thing. It took about 10 to 12 minutes for the sugar to dissolve completely, and that was awesome. We had the pâté de campagne, rustic pork and duck recipe with cornichons and duo de moutarde, which was 2 mustards, 1 yellow, 1 whole grain. And there were pickled shallots and pickled carrots as well. It was good, but I wish the bread had been something other than what appeared to be, I could be wrong, what appeared to be toasted white bread, as of what it seemed like. I had the cordon bleu, which was chicken breast covered in ham and a bechamel sauce. There were mushrooms and sauteed potatoes too. I have to admit, I was a little disappointed in the dish. It was good, but nothing really stood out about it. I like stuff made from the Catherine here better. See what I did? The Catherine, better, right? Stephanie had the truite amandine, which is trout with sliced toasted almonds, lemon, and brown butter. It came with haricot vert, or green beans. The topper for this, though, for the whole restaurant experience, was the jazz trio playing next to us. That was amazing. So it was really elegant. Food was very good, just not great. Food was good. Entertainment, the ambiance, everything about the place, though, was amazing. Okay, so Sunday, we get to go home today, right? No. Flight canceled again. Rescheduled for the next day at the same time. So we were going to be in New York City on 9/11. Okay. Let's try another restaurant on Restaurant Row. This is Sunday. This time it's Sicily Ostera, an Italian restaurant, a Sicilian Italian restaurant. I had the lasagna, which had sweet and hot sausage, broccoli rabe, tomato bechamel. It was good, but not as good as my mother's or even mine. What I grew up on. You see, there's a theme here. Stephanie had the pappardelle verde with rabbit, apricot, pistachio, and olives. We had a great time relaxing the best we could, knowing we were spending money we hadn't budgeted for. Roberto, our server, was a true delight. So Monday came, 9/11, let's go home. Not so fast. Canceled again. Scheduled for Tuesday morning. Damn it. Let's get our luggage and go back once again to the hotel, who were kind enough to give us a good rate, considering everybody else was looking for a place. It was in the middle of Manhattan. LaGuardia Airport is in Queens. It's a little distance, but we did what we could. We hadn't even gotten our luggage to go back to the hotel, and the Tuesday morning flight we had been scheduled on was canceled, and we were rescheduled for the same time the last 2 days had been. And I said, screw that. I got us on the Amtrak the next morning and got a refund for the flight. But that meant one more night in New York. Back to Restaurant Row. I mean, our hotel was on 48th Street. This was 46th Street. It's just 2 blocks. Not a problem. So we decided we wanted something that we couldn't get here, at least not the way we get it here. Again, bringing that whole theme back again. This time we had dim sum, because in this town there is no real dim sum. We went to Dim Sum Palace. Truthfully, we were done by this time. I'll tell you what we got. I can't really tell you a whole lot about them because it was just exhaustion. The crispy garlic spare ribs, and you had to be careful not to break your teeth, but they were delicious. A scallion pancake, it was decent. 3 Buddhist delight dumplings, and while they're supposed to be vegetarian, I didn't feel like these really were. They were quite savory just to be veggie. I don't think it was, though. Seafood shumai, which they were tender and delicious. Shanghai juicy pork and shrimp buns. They reminded me of what you get over at Mayway, but more juicy. And shrimp rolls, like spring rolls with shrimp. It was all good, but really, we were exhausted, annoyed, angry. and lots of dollars over budget. So we had to eat, and we weren't going to do any fast food, so we found something, and there it was. We took the 12-hour Amtrak home, leaving Penn Station at 7:35 on Tuesday morning, getting home at 9:30 that night. The 12 hours turned into 13 and a half hours because of a commuter train breakdown outside of D.C. We had microwaved cheeseburgers, hot dogs, and and ham and egg English muffins. That's what we did on the train. It was a long, long day. But that's our New York trip. More than you probably ever needed or wanted to know. It was great. Everything about New York is great. Everything other than the price and trying to leave. Leaving New York, not great. But anything but great was leaving New York. But everything else, fantastic. Don't be afraid to watch the Go-To Winston-Salem on social media. They're creating great content and, in my opinion, the place to find out your food news when I can't get it to you fast enough. And let's face it, 6 months since the last time I made one of these podcasts. But you can still watch the blog. I still post there, and I still do some stuff on Instagram. I've decided that my participation in the food scene around here is more... this is going to sound conceited, and I don't mean it this way. I am the event. So if there's something going on and I go to that, then I've been asked to come there and report to you, or I find it important enough to go through all the other food bloggers and stuff that do this now all the time. So to me, I have done it long enough. God, it sounds like I'm conceited, and I swear that I'm not. But I am just wanting it to be what it needs to be, and that's important. So that's when I show up for these. I'm not going to do it because this has gone way too long, and I've talked and I'm stopped up. But I'm not going to do the food history. But if I was going to do it, it would be brought to you by Diamondback Grill, casual dining, located in the heart of Buena Vista and Winston-Salem and downtown. They're in the Biotech building over here in Innovation Quarter. Not far from me, just a couple of blocks. It is a fantastic family-owned farm-to-fork restaurant that sources most of its ingredients from local farmers. The ambiance, at least on the Avalon Road restaurant, is always amazing. I sent a lot of people over there in the last little bit. They're really, really great. They will take care of you, and I promise you the food will be good. Diamondback Grill is at 751 Avalon Road. Find them online at diamondbackgrill.com, Facebook, Instagram. To make reservations, call 336-722-0006 and tell them, of course, that I sent you. The Man Who Ate the Town podcast is part of the Less Desirables podcast network. Along with this podcast, you can listen to the Less Desirables, Fan Interference, Beeswax Vinyl Daily, Wheeler's Dog, Asylum, the Kiss podcast, I Remember Now, the Queen's Right podcast, and the Health Geeks Book Club podcast. You can find all of these podcasts and their latest episode on our network website and directory, tldpodnetwork.com. That is tldpodnetwork.com. This is a reminder to all the listeners, and it's good practice, not just now, but for always. Wash your damn hands. In New York City, I wash my hands a lot. There are about 10 times as many people in New York as there is here. And I was not playing it safe. I mean, I was playing it safe, not playing it stupid. Wash your hands with warm water and soap. Wash with that soap for about 20 seconds or more. Sing along to this if you need to know how long 20 seconds is.
I'm going off the rails on a crazy train. I'm going off the rails on a crazy train.
So that is Crazy Train from the Blizzard of Oz, Ozzy's first solo album after leaving Black Sabbath. That came out in 1980. On this day, this is the 20th of September, Wednesday. So, yeah, listen to that. Think of that in your head. I make no promises that this will be a weekly podcast. Obviously, it was, 4 times 6, 24 weeks that I went. Nor will I promise that it will be consistent in any kind of schedule. This will be a as-needed type thing. And I hope you're still listening. I hope you stay with me. Be on the lookout for the blog, like I said. And this podcast to learn more about food news and happenings around town. If you have any food news or events or whatever, email me at tim@themanowaitthetown.com. You can also contact us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, or X on those instant messengers. And while I don't care for them, I still use them. Like us on Facebook, on Twitter, or X, we are man8thetown. On Instagram, we are man8thetown. We invite you to leave a voicemail for the podcast, actually any podcast on the TLD network. You can call 336-422-6862. That's right, 336-422-NUM. Leave us a voicemail and we'll play it on the podcast. Again, 336-422-NUM, 6862. Well, my name is Tim, and I'm closing this recipe trunk. Until next time, thank you for reading. Thank you for listening to my rant. Bon appetit.
Yamas.
The views and opinions stated by me or any of my guests are solely those of ours and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of our hosting companies, distributors, enemies, friends, or relatives. This podcast is copyrighted and cannot be reproduced or distributed without express written consent of the man who ate the town, that's me, and Such Limited Inc. However, if you ask nicely, we'll probably let you.